Stand here. Don't move. We are about to watch history unfold. Long before modern cities, before Rome, before Greece, before the Great Wall of China, there was only a quiet limestone plateau overlooking the fertile Nile Valley. The wind carried sand across an untouched landscape beneath the endless Egyptian sky. Then, around 2,560 years before the birth of Christ, one man imagined something the world had never seen. Pharaoh Khufu envisioned a monument that would carry his name beyond death, beyond kingdoms, beyond memory itself. Not merely a royal tomb, but a stairway toward eternity. Across Egypt, surveyors, architects, engineers, craftsmen, and thousands of skilled workers answered the royal command. The empty plateau was about to become humanity's greatest construction site. History had not yet changed, but it was only moments away. The empty plateau is now alive with purpose. From every direction, skilled workers arrive carrying tools, timber, rope, copper chisels, and food for a project unlike anything humanity has attempted before. Nearby quarries echo with the sound of stone being carefully cut from solid limestone. Massive blocks weighing several tons each are loaded onto wooden sledges and pulled across prepared pathways. Along the Nile, fleets of boats deliver fine limestone and granite from distant quarries hundreds of kilometers away. Architects oversee every measurement. Surveyors constantly check alignment with astonishing precision. Thousands of craftsmen work together as one enormous machine, layer by layer, stone by stone. The first courses rise above the desert floor. For the first time in history, humanity is building a mountain. Year after year, the monument climbs higher into the Egyptian sky. Millions of carefully shaped limestone blocks fit together with astonishing precision. Finally, the last great stone reaches the summit. Craftsmen carefully place the polished pyramidion at the peak. Across the entire structure, gleaming white casing stones from the quarries of Tura transform rough masonry into smooth geometric perfection. Under the blazing desert sun, the finished pyramid shines like a mountain of light. It can be seen from many kilometers away by travelers sailing along the Nile. Rising nearly 147 meters into the sky, it becomes the tallest structure humanity has ever built. And it will remain so for almost 4,000 years. The dream of Pharaoh Khufu has become reality. The Great Pyramid is complete. With construction complete, the Great Pyramid enters a new chapter. Every sunrise illuminates its brilliant white faces, visible for many kilometers across the Nile Valley. To the ancient Egyptians, this is far more than a royal tomb. It is the eternal home of Pharaoh Khufu, a sacred place where heaven and earth meet. Priests perform daily ceremonies inside the temple complex. Incense rises into the morning air. Offerings of bread, beer, fruit, and flowers are presented to sustain the king in the afterlife. Along the nearby Nile, funeral barges quietly approach the valley temple before solemn processions ascend the great causeway toward the pyramid. Around it, Egypt flourishes. New pyramids rise across the horizon. Trade expands. Agriculture prospers. Dynasties change. Yet the Great Pyramid remains the supreme symbol of a civilization that believes eternity can be built from stone. Centuries become generations. Generations become civilizations. The Great Pyramid has already stood for hundreds of years, while the rest of the ancient world slowly catches up. Across Mesopotamia, mighty kingdoms expand. New cities rise between the Tigris and Euphrates. To the east, great civilizations flourish along the Indus Valley. Far beyond the Mediterranean, new cultures begin shaping Europe. Meanwhile, Egypt changes. Dynasties rise and disappear. Pharaohs come and go. New temples are built. Old monuments begin to age. Yet the Great Pyramid remains exactly as it was on the day it was completed. Brilliant, perfect, silent, already ancient. Long before many of history's greatest civilizations have even reached their peak. More than 2,000 years have already passed since the first stone was laid. Kingdoms have risen and vanished. Yet the Great Pyramid still dominates the western horizon of the Nile. Travelers now arrive from lands the builders could never have imagined. Among them are Greek philosophers, merchants, explorers, and historians. One visitor, Herodotus, records stories of the immense monument, introducing it to the wider Mediterranean world. Soon, scholars begin calling it one of the greatest achievements ever built by human hands. As Alexander the Great conquers Egypt, a new chapter begins. Greek rulers preserved the ancient monuments while founding the magnificent city of Alexandria. The Great Pyramid has survived long enough to become ancient, even to the ancient Greeks. In 30 BC, Egypt becomes part of the Roman Empire. Cleopatra is gone. The age of the pharaohs has ended. Roman governors now rule from Alexandria. Legions march across the Nile Valley, carrying the banners of an empire stretching from Britain to the deserts of Arabia. Yet even Rome cannot claim the Great Pyramid. It can only inherit it. Roman officials, philosophers, engineers, and curious travelers journey across the desert simply to stand before this astonishing monument. Many struggle to believe that human hands could have built something so immense. While Rome expands across 3 continents, the Great Pyramid continues doing what it has always done, standing perfectly still, watching another civilization write its chapter beneath the endless Egyptian sky. Rome slowly fades into history. The empire that once ruled 3 continents begins to fracture. Across Egypt, ancient temples fall silent. Priests disappear. Sacred ceremonies end. The bustling roads leading to Giza grow quiet. Year after year, the desert wind carries millions of grains of sand across the plateau. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, the landscape begins to change. Smaller temples become partially buried. Ancient pathways disappear beneath drifting dunes. The once living ceremonial complex grows still, yet above the moving sands. The Great Pyramid continues watching the centuries pass. While kingdoms vanish beneath history, it remains the unchallenged giant of the Egyptian desert. For almost 3,000 years, the Great Pyramid has gleamed like a mountain of light. Then, history changes its appearance forever. Medieval Cairo is growing rapidly. New mosques, palaces, schools, and city walls require enormous quantities of finely cut limestone. The Great Pyramid possesses exactly that. One by one, workers begin removing the brilliant white casing stones that once reflected the Egyptian sun. The polished blocks are carried away to build the expanding city nearby. Decade after decade, the smooth outer skin slowly disappears. Beneath it, the massive core blocks are revealed for the first time. The shining mountain becomes the stepped giant we recognize today. It is no longer perfect, but it is still eternal. As the centuries continue, Egypt becomes a crossroads once again. Merchant caravans arrive from Africa, Arabia, and the Mediterranean. European explorers begin crossing deserts and seas to witness the world's oldest great monument. Artists carefully sketch its immense proportions. Cartographers measure its position with remarkable precision. Scholars debate how such an enormous structure could have been built. Every visitor leaves with the same feeling: wonder. The Great Pyramid has become more than Egypt's treasure. It has become humanity's mystery. Across the world, books and illustrations spread its image farther than ever before. The silent giant now stands not only in the desert, but also in the imagination of the entire world. In 1798, a young French general named Napoleon Bonaparte arrives in Egypt, but he does not come alone. Alongside his army travel more than 160 scientists, engineers, artists, mathematicians, and historians. They carefully measure, sketch, and record every detail they can find. Their work transforms the Great Pyramid from legend into documented history. Detailed illustrations spread throughout Europe. Scholars begin comparing measurements with astonishing precision. Ancient Egypt is no longer simply admired. It is finally being studied. The Great Pyramid becomes one of the first monuments of the ancient world to enter the age of modern science. Its mysteries are far from solved, but humanity has begun asking better questions. The 19th century gives way to the 20th. Steam engines replace camel caravans. Railways connect distant cities. Photography captures the Great Pyramid with astonishing detail. For the first time, people across the world can see the monument without ever traveling to Egypt. Archaeologists uncover forgotten temples, buried causeways, and ancient workers' villages hidden beneath centuries of sand. Cairo expands rapidly toward the Giza Plateau. Roads replace desert tracks. Early automobiles arrive where once only caravans passed. Motion picture cameras begin recording the monument for future generations. After more than 4,000 years, the Great Pyramid enters the modern world. It is no longer simply Egypt's greatest treasure. It has become one of humanity's greatest symbols. Humanity now moves faster than ever before. Airplanes cross continents in hours. Satellites orbit high above the Earth. Television brings the Great Pyramid into millions of homes. Documentary filmmakers reveal its history to audiences across the globe. Archaeologists begin using computers, aerial photography, and increasingly sophisticated technology to study the monument without damaging it. Tourists arrive by the thousands every day. Languages from every continent echo across the plateau. Yet despite the crowds, despite the highways, despite the modern skyline surrounding Giza, the Great Pyramid remains exactly what it has always been, a silent witness, standing where it has stood for more than 4.5 millennia. Today, more than 4,500 years after its completion, the Great Pyramid still stands. Around it, the modern world never stops moving. Millions of visitors travel here every year from every corner of the Earth. Engineers scan its interior using lasers. Satellites map every stone from orbit. Archaeologists continue uncovering new secrets beneath the surrounding sands. Artificial intelligence now helps researchers analyze structures that human eyes could never fully understand. Every sunrise still paints its ancient stones with gold. Every sunset reminds us that civilizations may rise, technologies may evolve, and generations will continue to change. Yet the Great Pyramid remains exactly where history placed it. Not merely Egypt's oldest monument, but one of humanity's greatest achievements. 4,588 years. That is longer than the history of nearly every nation alive today. Before Rome existed, before Athens reached its glory, before the Great Wall of China, before the birth of Christ, before the rise of Islam, before the first printed book, before the Industrial Revolution, before electricity, before airplanes, before computers, before the internet, the Great Pyramid was already standing beneath this same Egyptian sky. It has watched empires rise and disappear. It has witnessed humanity change the world, while remaining almost unchanged itself. Today, millions come simply to stand where countless generations once stood. Not because the pyramid belongs to Egypt alone, but because it belongs to all of us. It reminds us that human greatness is measured not only by what we build, but by what endures. And after 45 centuries, the Great Pyramid still waits for the next sunrise.
History isn't gone. It simply waits to be seen again.